used to dim my light to keep the peace. Now stomping boots that echo true. Banjo singing, bass line swinging, I'm the rhythm and the roar. Yeah. Our sun-kissed skin and a heart that's healed. I walk like freedom, I don't conceal. Little flirts while the banjo grins. I'm the story where the joy begins. I cried, I danced, I prayed, I rolled. Now every step's what I was made for. I shine like a light, this way like I'm free. Baseline bumping with the soul of me. No chill, no filter, just truth in my tone. I'm a woman reborn in a vibe of my own. Banjo twanging like it knows my name. Drums got swagger, this ain't no game. I flip the script, I flip the table. Now I feast where I'm able. For the taste in my veins, I vibrate high. Country soul with the hip-hop sky. I'm the rhythm, the roar, the flame. Every beat I bless, every truth I claim. Nothing that I can shine. Yes, stay like I'm free, stay like I'm free. Baseline bumping with the soul of me. Just truth in my tone, just truth in my tone. I'm a woman reborn, I'm a woman reborn in a vibe of my own. This joy, it's earned, it's shine. It's mine, and I ain't dimming for nobody.
I want to thank everybody for being here with us tonight. Welcome to the Roar Room. It is 11/3/2025. How do I sound on the mic? Everybody good? Let me turn the chat on the screen here. Get everything set up.
5 by 5.
5 by 5. Let's get the comments on the screen here. Hunter says hello. Hello, Hunter. 5 by 5. Sounding good. There we go. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. Today's Monday, right? 11/3. So you had a 11/3/33. Then you had the College World Series parade in LA, right? On 11/3. So I was looking at some of the parade, and I noticed downtown LA, the whole area was just like smog or something, like a fog, real thick fog, right? Look, phone going off here. Sorry about that. Phone sitting right next to the microphone. How's everybody doing? So this morning we talked about several different topics. We talked about surveillance, hackers. Talked about quantum computing, right? Kind of like the Y2K thing, like they were saying. Same situation, Y2K, but it's Y2Q.
Y2Q.
It's the quantum panic, right? Because they only have, I think the agenda is 20. They said that the Q day is 2035 according to NISL. Let's see, wrote that on the title here. All right, so we've covered some of that. Q-Day, according to the NIST, the post-quantum panic, right? Kind of like Y2K. Y'all remember that?
Oh yeah.
When the 0 1, is that 2000? Yeah, that was 2000. But they only did the numbers with two numbers, 0 and a 1. So I really think it took place in 9/11/01, somewhere around 01, 2001, 01. Then we see, I'm no computer expert. I had to actually get educated on that part because this is much bigger than we can all imagine, right?
Yes.
This isn't just uh, who the president is, or uh, this isn't just about AI or anything like that. This is, or anything that you can imagine, right? There's always something to add to this age that we're fixing to walk into, or that we've already been a part of for decades. Actually, you go back, uh, go all the way back. I'm sure there is no point to where you can't go back. It's been going on for thousands of years. So I want to welcome everybody to the show. Um, what else we got going on? Is there anything that we need to talk about before we get started here? I want to encourage people to go to Rumble. We upload a lot of the morning shows onto Rumble. We don't put them on YouTube because of the strikes
Yeah.
they have on there, and we talk about different topics. So please go check out the content on Rumble, the morning chats. I know some of the Rumble ads suck, but the best way to improve Rumble is to get the premium, then it cuts away all the ads and stuff like that. I do that on YouTube because I can't stand skipping the ads, and they always come up with, at least when you're like in the other room and you're listening to an audiobook, and then an ad comes on for like 10 minutes, but you're in the middle of something, so you can't change it, right? So when you're listening to something, right? But anyways, so I want to thank everybody for subscribing, clicking like, and sharing as well. I hope y'all didn't eat too much candy or trick or treat. I don't know. Mickey, what did you dress up as for Halloween? Did you go trick or treating?
No, I sat here and watched movies.
That'll work. Played it safe. You watch Jason or Michael Myers or what?
No, I forgot. I was watching a movie on Telegram. I forgot what movie we watched that night, though. It was something good.
That'll work. Yeah, I didn't dress up. I dressed up Gracie for Halloween as like uh, a bug out dog.
In her camo.
I put some camouflage on her.
Oh,
Her little pack, her little vest that she puts that has all these little things you can attach things to, like medical, like if you needed to attach things that she could carry,
yeah, it
like
has
if you're
little
in the field.
pouches and
Yeah,
all sorts of stuff. It's kind of cool.
Oh, I want to see a picture.
It's a tactical.
she had a tactical vest on. I just need to get a dog Kevlar helmet.
Right?
I got to see a picture of that.
You have that picture?
I posted it in the chat.
I don't find it here.
I'll find it. I'll find it.
I was probably sleeping when you posted it.
Yeah, it was this morning. Yeah, the other morning on Halloween morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if we're the long.
Go ahead and get this thing set up here on the screen. So we can get started here. Um, How's everything going in your neck of the woods, guys? Looking pretty good over here. The weather's beautiful.
Good.
I guess it depends on what channel you watch,
Yeah.
right? Uh, but overall, I'm excited. I'm not in fear of anything,
No fear. No fear.
but I do understand, the motives of the enemy. Enemy is trying to they want a religious war, right? They want to pit. It's not just Republican or Democrat. That's nothing. They want to do religion versus religion, right? Start a religious war, but it's not working out too well for them. However, they're still trying their hardest to make that happen. So, anyways, got a couple of videos I want to share. Did I go over this one? Probably this one was in the chat. The one with Chase Hughes. Did we go over that one in the chat? But here is the Great Seduction. This is from Inspired Tribe, John Nolan. So this is what's coming next. Will shock even be awakened, right? So let me go ahead and get this on here. Let me mute out. And I'll play this video. It's about 6 minutes. We'll have a discussion. But it's basically pretty much what we've been discussing. Just a different people saying the same thing. So when you got more than one or two, three people that don't know each other saying the same thing, you take note, right? And I'm not talking about the Mockingbird Media or any of these other echo chambers. I'm just talking about people separate in their own little genre or their own in their own power, right, or in their own energy, doing what they're called to do in their podcast or in their Telegram chats or whatever it is. We've been presenting different angles from different people, and it's all coming to the same conclusion.
I found it.
Play this real quick, 6 minutes. Make sure I'm muted.
It's November 2nd, 2025, and please save this video, bookmark it for later. There's going to be a day coming, I presume pretty soon, where you're going to need to watch this even more so than right now. I'm going to predict something intuitively that I think is coming very soon, and we're all going to need to be very, very aware of what's going down then. But for now, I want to quickly rewind to the year 2020. We all know the biggest scam, the biggest crime against the human family. And you know what was really surprising to me was not that it went down, because we knew it was coming. What wasn't surprising to me was how the masses reacted, what the media did, politicians. It clearly showed us a unitarian system, a force that is operating worldwide, and that when it matters, speaks with one voice, one tongue, and creates all the same actions. That was not the surprise. The surprise was how people who claim to be spiritually awakened, truth-oriented, freedom-loving, how they reacted, how many people from our communities reacted, alienated others, and resorted to fear and hatred and outright violence against anyone who didn't see things their way. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because what we saw in early 2020s until now was a tactic where a lot of fear, a lot of very, very dark energies, if you will, were used to bring people into a system and to build certain infrastructures for a worldwide system that these forces want to implement. We've talked about this many, many times. The change that I see coming is that they're now moving and will be moving into a new tactic, which I call the Great Seduction. And so what I believe is going to happen fairly soon, I mean really soon, and I could be wrong, but I think really soon, is that we're going to be introduced to some otherworldly technologies. At least that's what they're going to seem to us. They're going to seem so far out there and so incredible, so amazing, so awe-inspiring. And they're going to be presented to the people as solutions to their biggest problems. I believe mainly in the health sphere to begin with, maybe transportation, but health sphere I think to begin with. And people are going to see these technologies as quick fixes and as like an answered prayer. And these technologies are going to be presented in a way that even people in our community will say, Jean, how can you speak out against it? This is what we've been waiting for. This is the answer. This is fixing, the big C. This is fixing all the diseases. This is reversing effects of all kinds of bad stuff in our environment and in our bodies. And it's going to seem absolutely wonderful. But remember that when it comes, the forces allowing this to come to the public are the same forces who did the 2020 scam, are the same forces who've been working for hundreds and thousands of years to bring us into this AI hive mind that they have created for us. These forces are at work. Remind yourself when that day comes that we're still sucking electricity from power lines like we did over 100 years ago, that nothing has changed, that all these technologies have been suppressed from us, that any and all transportation technologies and all other technologies that could have liberated the human family from oppression, from dependence and dependency and whatnot are still being suppressed. And when the day of the announcement comes, whether that will come through sort of a revelation that this is otherworldly technology or not, remember that it is the great seduction. When many people in our community will say, listen, this is finally it. This is the technology. This is the quantum tech we've been waiting for. This is it. Remember, it's the great seduction, and it's their final play of how they're going to get millions of otherwise, questioning people, truth-oriented, freedom-loving people into their system. It's going to be through seduction. Yes, they're still going to use weather warfare. Yes, they're still going to use all the other stuff, but it's going to be through seduction. They're going to make it seem so amazing, so wonderful, so life-changing. But with that, they'll also drop the hammer. You'll come in to this system through some mechanism that will make it virtually impossible for you to get back out again. Might be some biological, technological thing, and you will hear the door close behind you once you're in, because that's the goal. And I don't know what else they need to see or hear or know that this force is still at work, and it might have been weakened. It might be running out of all too many plays yet, but they're still there and they're still working. So please, when the next big announcement comes about some revolutionary technology, something that will change the world, look close. Who is putting this out there? Who's the money behind it? Who are the people talking about it? Who wants you so badly to use it or be a part of it? You need to ask those questions and not get emotionally sucked in. Once again, save this video, bookmark it. There'll be a day in the near future when you need to watch it again. You need to be reminded of it, and all your friends and family need to, because they're coming for the truthers, for the freedom lovers. They're coming for the spiritual communities, for the sovereign people, for anyone who does not want to depend on such an AI digitally controlled system. They're coming for those folks, and they want to seduce them into the system.
Your environment shapes everything, your thoughts, your health, your energy, but most
There you go.
That's something to keep in the back of your mind when these wonderful things sound too wonderful, right? Remember all the stuff you learned.
Simba,
Don't go
remember.
for the shiny objects. Here, play this one.
People
All right. Which one? Okay.
And then the one above.
What's up, everybody? So I made a video earlier. There was a little warning.
Here, let me mute out real quick, and then I'll get to the video. There we go.
What's up, everybody? So I made a video earlier. There was a little warning. little warning. Wanted to ask everybody. This is it's gonna be a little bit better. I'm gonna tell you the process, how things work, how the game is played. But if you don't mind, before you go any further, I'd like you to go back 2 videos and check out my Wanters Wants little poem that got suppressed. It's been 3 days and there's only like 30 views because they don't like it. And my partner was like, you need to, they'll never let that get out. They'll never let that get out. No way. So check it out. It's called the Wanters Wants. But anyways, I want to just tell you how the game's played. It's a little bit of a riddle because I can't tell you everything. So you start as a fish, right? And we don't have any shepherds right now because nobody's got to win. So we're swimming around the water, but somehow somebody's going to find a boat and they're going to climb on that boat. And when they get on that boat, they're going to meet somebody. Dante met Virgil. And when Dante met Virgil, he was led through hell. So the vessel is going to go to the port. And when the vessel gets to the port, the fish, the other fish that made it onto the boat, are going to get sifted. Some of the fish, based on their soul, are going back to the water. Some of the fish are going to get taken up and they're going to get used right there on the dock. That's why they call it the docket, by the way, because you're at the dock where the water meets the land. Only it doesn't meet the land, it meets the port. And then some, the chosen, are going to go to the customs house where they're going to get their costume. Now, when they come off the dock, fish can't live on the land, so they're going to turn into a sheep. And they're going to have all their wool. And they're going to be taken into the customs house. They're going to go up to the boardroom. The shepherd's going to take them there. Virgil, for Dante, is going to take them there. And he's going to deliver them up to the people that run the boardroom. And the people that run the boardroom are going to try and entice them. They're going to try and offer stuff to get them to stay with them. And the shepherd's going to stare at them. And the sheep is going to look around. Smart sheep are going to ask questions. The dumb sheep are going to see the sparkly things and they're going to stay there. The ones that don't, they're going to shear them. That's why they call it a boardroom. When the sheep were ready to get sheared, they were taken into a boardroom and they were sheared. They're going to take 90% of everything they take off of them, and they're going to hand the sheep that's now a lamb a 10%. And then the shepherd is going to take them out into the street once they pass through customs. And then when they get out in the street, the shepherd is going to walk them across the street. And when they look in the street, they're going to see this little community church, and they're going to see this kingdom, this castle, and they're going to see, what was I saying? I'm thinking, oh, and you're going to see like the merchants. There's going to be some merchants there. I'm sorry. There's going to be some merchants, right? And the shepherd's not going to let them stop because they're not ready yet, because they're not there yet. They haven't arrived. They haven't made appearance, right? And they're going to take them over to the church. And they're going to knock on the church, and the preacher's going to answer the door. And the preacher's going to take the wool, the 10%, and as they're trying to hand off the 10%, the banker's going to come back and go, hey, come on. I can take that, and I can invest it for you, and I can keep it. And I'll make you a lot of money. I'll make you a lot of, come back with me. Because the banker, he wants you to be with him so he can throw you back out in the water so you don't know. And the preacher's going to tell you, come on in. Come in here. You'll be close to God. You'll be right with God. You'll be with God. You'll be close, right? So the preacher wants you inside so you can be a part of the flock, right? And the shepherd's going to look at you. And you're going to have to make a decision. And that decision is going to choose. You can go to the church and get close to God. You can go to the banker and give him everything, and he's gonna cook you. Or you can stay in the middle You can stay in the middle. But the little tiny castle in moderation, and the like local merchants and the community church. You can do any of them. You can choose. It's your choice. And you're going to have to answer that question. I don't know, but I can tell you this. Most of you are not coming out of the water. 90% will not make it out of the water. 5% are going to make it to the customs house. 2%, 3% are going to hang out at the preacher. And 2%, well, they're going to know freedom. The world is full of decisions. Everything's a trap. God bless.
Traps everywhere, right? Listen to that a couple times and get the riddle, but basically pretty much clears it up, right? You want to be that 2%er
Nothing more than 3%ers.
in the middle, right? Narrow is the
Straight and
gate.
narrow.
Narrow
Wide
is
as
the
a road,
wide is the road. Narrow is the gate, right?
which leads to salvation.
Yes. And freedom.
Freedom. All right. I'm jumping.
What's up, everybody? I was writing yesterday, and I shared this with some people, and they really liked it, so I figured I'd share it with you. Share it if you like it. It's called The Wander's Wants. The animals want power. The weak want respect. The rich want to be kings. The feminine want to be queens. The schooled want titles. The lazy want it for free. The dumb want the credit. The blind want peace. The cowards want to please. The arrogant want obedience. The drunkard wants to discredit. The one-upper wants to win. The powermonger wants to punish. The dead want to dominate. The predator wants prey. The stagnant want to keep everything the same. The parasite wants to feed for free. The virus wants to replicate. The master wants slaves. The lost want losers. The clown wants an audience. The manipulator wants your soul. The persuader wants your life. And the climber wants your reputation. The pretty want attention. The beautiful want it easy. The consumer wants more. The different want to be alone. The intelligent wants friends. The poor want equality. The good want affection. The righteous want justice. The fair want harmony. The curious want to know. The worshiper wants to believe. The believer wants to preach. The preacher wants sheep. The sheep want protection.
Now, Mickey didn't
The
remember
shepherd
the
wants a
movie.
flock. The flock want to fly. The merchant wants to move. The banker wants interest. The attorney wants rights. The politician wants riches. The developer wants land. The businessman wants leverage.
No.
The dogs want to
it's not.
bark. The pigs want food. The farmer wants rain. The earth wants to give. The spirits want understanding. The wise want the wanderers to know the truth. Which are the virtues of good, and which are the vices of evil? Each will decide for themselves. Godspeed.
Godspeed.
No, weren't any of those labels, right? What you know who you are.
Yep. So this one is So I'm gonna play this little clip right here. Congress will not open again for the next 4 years. They'll shut down the government, right?
Yeah. Not opening the
Republicans have no intention on opening the government again. The BBB is the Trump card? Question mark. All right, because everything's been funded. All right, so I'm gonna play this from Branch Got Blue. Little clip right here. Let me mute out so I don't get an echo.
That he doesn't need Congress for 4 more years. That big beautiful bill, it's everything he wanted in one bill, and now he has no use for Congress at all. Mike Johnson will never open Congress for the remainder of Trump's presidency. They've done what they wanted to do. They're not going to do anything else.
If she's right, and I'm going to show you the other parts of what I discovered, we're in for a hell of a ride.
Yep, so let me go back and play that real quick. This is, and I'll read it for you. Let's go back on here.
I'm about to show you exactly why Republicans.
I'm about to show you exactly why Republicans have no intention of opening up the government again. She says everyone covers everything, the great, big, beautiful bills. We got everything done, and I said it's all done. This is Trump speaking. I said, let's get it all done. A lot of people want to do a little small pieces, like 9 of them, 12 of them. I said, put it all in one bill, and if we get it done, we're done for 4 years. Trump said, we don't need anything more from Congress in terms of that risk. We got it all done.
Yeah.
It was a little risky, but because if we didn't get it done, who knows what would have happened with these radical left lunatics that we have to deal with. But we got it all done, and now we're set. That's what he said. Get there, try to hear the volumes kind of.
I'm about to show you exactly why.
Now let's go a little bit further here. She got everything in the BBB, the big beautiful bill, which I decoded back in the day. And B is the second letter of the alphabet, which is 2. So that's 222.
Right. Chiefs want to Super Bowl 222.
And for those of you all who don't know what 222 is,
222.
the Trump card. Go ahead, Mama, tell us.
President Trump lost. I'll show you exactly why.
Trump don't need Congress no more for nothing.
She sounds
Yeah, I'm gonna, when she talks, I'm gonna read what she says. She played the clip of what Trump said. He doesn't need Congress anymore. They got everything they need in the big beautiful bill. All the funding. So the government shutdown, that was it.
So,
For the rest of his term. Listen to this and weep.
I'm about to show you exactly why Republicans have no intention of opening up.
So she says, I'm about to show you exactly why Republicans have no intention of opening up the government again. And she's going on based on what Trump said.
It really covers everything, the great big beautiful bill. Who knows what would happen with these? That he doesn't need Congress. Who knows what would happen with these?
All right, now I'm going to read it for you. Whenever he gets, so he got it all done. We're set. He literally just said it out loud that he doesn't need Congress for 4 more years. That beautiful bill, it's everything he wanted. And now he has no need for Congress at all, right? Mike Johnson will never open Congress for the remainder of Trump's presidency. They've done what they've wanted to do. They're not going to do anything else. So, right.
Yeah, because they put it all in a big beautiful bill for AI to run. I shared that yesterday on the morning chat, all about Palantir, right? Running the government. Government's going to be run on algorithms, which they probably have been doing, because Palantir's been in place since 2003, and the cops, police, FBI all started using it in 2013.
Parts of what I discovered, we're in for a hell of a ride. The days of SNAP and other government programs, they're on the chopping block. And some will only return once we go into our new economic system en route to the mark of the beast. I know you might not want to hear that, but people, I was sitting in the car eating lunch and the Holy Spirit began to talk to me, y'all. It's crazy. Now, let me walk you through this thing.
Just wanted to play that clip right there.
So when you wanted to share that with us, is that in history?
Yeah, you want to go to get that clip. You want to go to the hold on. Look. You want to go to the somewhere around the 15-minute mark in that video. Yeah, 15:09. You won't believe what God spoke to me. We're being trapped into 66. So French got blue channel, right? So,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Yeah.
Find it.
Might be pronouncing the name wrong. This was the digital money trap, right? But you wanted me to go into. So we played those two videos, talking about the wanters once, and he told you what was going to happen in a roundabout way in a story. But if you understand water and what that means, being lost at sea, and
Right.
understand that whole process.
Right. So yeah, that's why I said you have to go back and listen to it if you didn't catch it the first time. Go back and listen to it. It's posted on the War Room chat as well. Listen to it and catch exactly what he's saying.
Did you want me to play?
DEFCON.
Oh, the DEFCON?
Mm-hmm.
About what? Which one? Oh, the which DEFCON? We got the so we played a few DEFCON videos. These are hackers conventions, the post quantum panic, when will the cracking begin, and can we detect it? Right. So they're talking about the where is it at right here? A photograph. So we're talking right here. What if we're here? So the agenda's 2030, right? But the quantum thing, they're telling them 2035, which they're thinking they don't have time, right? They need to react much quicker as to how this is going to work with the new quantum, with the blockchain and all that, with the Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. So 2035 is Q Day. according to the NIST. All right, so they got them shooting right here, and they're going to sneak up on them in 2030, is what the guy's saying. Are they going to sneak up on us in 2030? Because they're saying 2035. Because if they start preparing now, they'll be ready for 2030. But if they wait and say, oh, it'll be another 5, another 10, 15 more years before we get to that point, he's thinking that's bullshit, right? Compared to how fast these quantum computers are computing, and the bits, right? 126, and they had the, what was it, 252? So they're going to be up in the thousands, right? Being able to process things a lot quicker. So it's going to get faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
So he sounded the alarm, and he's putting the mark right here at 2030.
Which is 2030, right?
Yeah.
But they say they don't have that long. Don't have till 2030.
Right. So this is also what's taking place, right? Simultaneously.
You really can't miss it. You know, you've got Hadamard and Poly-X or not gates that just keep repeating. Picture that like, 4,000 times in a row. You're going to notice that. It's very, very noticeable. So this is good news. We should be able to, in theory, see this. Unfortunately, if you take an example of AWS and IonQ's relationship, once you get through all that legal mumbo jumbo, the long and short of it is AWS loves their customers and promises not to look at anything you do, and anyone they trust to run on their network promises to not look as well because we love our customers and don't want to look at them. So that's the basic idea. So no one wants to look, and it's nobody's problem, and they don't want to know, and they don't want to touch it. So IonQ basically told me we're literally not allowed to look at what you're doing, and AWS doesn't want to do it either. So right now, if they had a machine capable of cracking encryption, I could log in, probably get charged a crazy amount of money if you think about the circuit depth and the days it has to run, and I could crack encryption and no one would be any the wiser. Now, this is kind of bonkers to me because right now, I mean, let's be real, if you were to run a botnet on a cloud provider, they would stop it, right? So why can't they? Yeah, okay. So the idea is IonQ has said to me that they feel that we're going to need new license agreements, new terms of service. So whenever you set something up like this, you can't just have people going in willy-nilly and like running these types of attacks, which raises a good question. Like, who's going to be doing this kind of attacking? So the guy in the suit represents a nation state attacker. Awesome. He has a transparent screen so you can see that it's 5 years in the future when quantum computers are powerful enough. And he is currently cracking the location of a secret base. Cool. And he's doing that with his own quantum computer because he is in some mean country that has one. In the middle, we have organized crime. Organized crime decided, hey, it's a good investment. We're going to buy one of these puppies for $40 million or whatever it'll be in 5 years. And we got free shipping, and here it is. And now we're gonna start running it and refrigerating it, hopefully. And we're going to do all this kinds of damage. Awesome. Now, what about the lowly hoodie man? The lowly, Elliot over here from Mr. Robot, who now wants to go quantum. What are we going to do with him? Well, the reality is it's going to be a short window, I think. I think it'll be a short period of time where they figure out a way to use a few machines, but I do believe that the agreements are going to kick in, and they're not going to be able to have time on a quantum computer do that. So your number one attackers most likely will be nation states and organized crime. So that does raise a question of like what kind of secrets are vulnerable. So this idea of Moscow's theorem is generally the amount of time a data must remain secure is X. Y is how long it takes you to migrate, and Z is how long until we have a quantum computer. So if I'm telling you in 5 years we have a quantum computer, that means do you have anything with a shelf life, a secret with a shelf life of less than 5 years, and you can migrate in like 5 minutes? Because that's what we're looking at right now. You're going to blow this out of the water. So anything being harvested now is going to be cracked probably in a useful way. Locations of bases will still be bases. Coca-Cola secret recipe is still going to contain cocaine. All that stuff's still going to be true in 5 years. It really still contains it. Isn't that weird? But not the psychoactive part. But yeah, look into it. It's weird. There's this factory in New Jersey that extracts it for them. It's so strange. Anyway, but once we have the machines, we're going to find that the targets are going to shift. It'll be pretty much anything. Once we have these machines, it's like, oh, cool. We got these fresh packets from the U.S. to this country here. Let's do something with it. Or company A to company B, espionage. All of a sudden, China will be doing things like stealing submarine plans. They never did that before. Well, okay. But with quantum computers, do it faster. So, that kind of thing will happen.
They'll get to do it faster.
So I told you there's types of PQC. I don't really have time to go deep into them, but these are the general types. So lattice-based, I gave a talk last year at the Quantum Village explaining how lattice-based works. Lattice-based is the first kinds that were approved. Hash-based, everyone should be somewhat familiar with. The next one to be approved is code-based, which is sort of like error-correcting code. You send the garbled code, and the person with the error-correcting code reverses it, and that's quantum safe. And then the others, we won't get to because they're not really going to happen soon. So the first standards that came out that you should all be moving to, whoops, it would help if that didn't happen. Okay, is, like I said, lattices. So we got MLChem and MLDSA. Those are for key encapsulation method and for signatures. So this is what most people are going to start moving to. And if you want to check out my talk last year on the Quantum Village site, I kind of explained how these work. And we really need to start migrating. And like I said, HQC is going to be a code-based one that comes next year. But generally, how are we doing so far? Well, Forescout just did an analysis, and they found that under 20% of servers on the internet are TLS 1.3 right now. TLS 1.3 just means you could be doing PQC. Doesn't necessarily mean you are doing it. You're just ready to. Okay, so that's a pretty small number. And if you actually saw who's hand shaking with PQC after that, it's probably like nobody. And then there's almost no one doing OpenSSH, just 6%. And this is sad because to be PQC on OpenSSH, literally all you have to do is update to 10. That's it. Update to version 10, and by default, it's PQC. So OpenSSH, I think, should be 100%. It should just be like, everyone should be running it, but out of 168 million boxes surveyed, it was a measly 6%. And there's other examples of PQC that exist out there, like Chrome 131 has the latest versions. OpenSSL 3.5 should help this along, and I'm running out of time. So I just want to make this one big point. This is generally the lay of the land, if you want to take a picture, of what NIST says is okay. And you'll notice that they didn't include that red Ghostbusters thing at the bottom there. That's my addition. They're saying that it's okay to have 128 bits of symmetric encryption. And I could not disagree more. Okay, I'm going to scream this from the rooftops until NIST listens to me about this and the fact that the timeline needs to move down. 128 bits of security means that if I run Grover's algorithm, it's going to behave as if it was 64 bits of security. That is just not enough. It's just not. Okay, we were practically cracking that during the crypto wars. Okay, it was 56, but still, it's relatively close. So just ask the EFF about when they spent 200 grand to build a machine to crack DES, right? So it's not enough. So I really, really strongly suggest 256, period. And we can start rolling this out, like BitLocker. It defaults to 128. Whenever you do a new machine, just make it 256. Little steps like that along the way. And there's some other things you can do too. And if you just want to take a picture, it's like a cycle to migrate. But
Right. That's a little clip. I'm going to share that out. It's really dry and if you're into computers, it's probably understand what they're talking about.
Right.
But it's the quantum race, the quantum computer race is what they're looking at, and he's saying they need to move it back to 2030, not 2035, and call that Q Day because he thinks that's going to be too late.
Right, it'll be too late then. And then he talks about how the people can hack into that, right?
Yeah.
Into your. That's what we were talking about earlier on the chat about the Bitcoin or the stable coins, right? Think about that. This can be hacked.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Even with the blockchain. So.
Post-quantum world, right? So we're talking about the quantum computers.
Right.
The keys that you have to have.
Yeah, each one has a key, right? That's what he was talking about, that can be hacked. Keys can be stolen. They can wipe you out.
in fact, if you're doing a bit strength of 192 on the curve, on the elliptic curve, you might only need 1,754 qubits to destroy a blockchain. And there's an extra threat with blockchain too. If anyone here remembers, Elon Musk a few years ago tweeted, Tesla's not going to accept Bitcoin anymore. It's bad for the environment. The very next day, Bitcoin plummeted 30%. Now, what happens if Elon Musk one day says, I think there's a quantum computer powerful enough to crack Bitcoin? It's going to plummet to zero because the secrecy of data is nothing compared to the secrecy of your key that actually controls your money. So Bitcoin would be worth absolutely nothing if someone could reverse your private key. So keep that in mind, that there's a lot at risk when it comes to quantum attacks. All right. So what do we do about all this, about these threats? Well, if you'd asked me a few years ago when Q-Day is coming, sort of, just like Y2K, we have Y2Q, or Q-Day, the day that quantum computers can crack everything, no one really knew. Like I said, it's 10 to 20 years away, 10 to 20 years away, 10 to 20 years away. So NIST, when they started looking for new ciphers to replace vulnerable ones, they decided to actually create a timeline. So in 2024, when they released the finalists, and I'll introduce those later so you get a sense of what they look like, when they released the finalists for post-quantum cryptography, they threw a stake in the ground. Last August, they released them. Last November, they said, you've got till 2030 to deprecate them, and till 2035 to stop using them. And there's some other nuance that we'll get in later, like things that are allowed, things that aren't allowed. But basically, once they tell you can't use it anymore, for all intents and purposes, that's kind of like Q-Day, right? Like, show of hands, who here is using SSL right now? No, come on, no one. You're not supposed to be using SSL anymore. Don't scare me, it's DEF CON. Yeah, so you're obviously using TLS 1 point something, right? So we've been through this before. We've done deprecation before. So it's not that terrifying, but for some reason, there's a lot of hesitation. Like when I go talk to CISOs about this, a lot of times they're like, the subtext is, they're looking at me and they're hearing me, but really their eyes are saying, dude, my lifetime here is like 2 years and then on to the next company. I'm not gonna fix this. This is future Fred or Mary's problem, not me. So that's unfortunately a lot of what I see. It's 10 years away, 10 to 20, in fact. Yeah, but no, it becomes like this not so urgent thing. But NIST set this timeline, and people were asking me when Q-Day is. I said, well, if we don't know, at least we know 2035 is the date, so you can start planning ahead of that. And 2025, this year, federal agencies are actually responsible for turning in their plans for migration by 2035, which means a whole bunch of people have done a whole lot of work to say what they're going to do by 2035. And today I'm about to tell you that they're going to have to redo that entire thing because we don't have till 2035. We definitely don't. And in fact, that lightning bolt represents an error bar. So 2030 is this quantum era of uncertainty of Q-Day, okay? It's this time period where I'm finding all signs point to we might be in serious trouble around 2030. And what happens when that comes that early? That's a whole lot of overlap, a whole lot of time that everyone's left basically, pardon the expression, with their pants down, right? They're not protected. So they've got to start figuring out what to do. And as an interesting aside, if you remember Y2K, or at least I've read about it, Y2K came 30 years after the launch of Unix, right? It was like Unix 1970, Y2K, we paid the price for not having more than 2 digits. Great. Well, now here we are, 30 years after Y2K is going to be another momentous moment where everyone has to have a lot of work done. And this is similar to Y2K. We know it's coming, but it's also similar to Heartbleed in that it's going to take down a whole lot of machines if we don't do something. And it's the first time, like I like to say, that we know a 0 day is coming. So if you remember nothing else, just remember, we know the approximate date of a 0 day for the first time in computer history. We've never known this. So knowing all this, there's a whole lot we have to actually start doing. So imagine, even years or months of there being an overlap here. Like imagine even 3 years, 2 years where everything's in the clear, banks are getting hacked all the time. Your financial information is being stolen. Crypto economy has plummeted in the trillions down to 0 overnight. Identity becomes a nightmare. You can't trust who's who online. Signatures mean nothing essentially because we didn't do the work. We didn't prepare. It's actually kind of a terrifying thought and a terrifying time period. And there's all sorts of harvest now defibrillator attacks and things we'll look at. And just remember that this economic disaster can be protected with just a little bit of work and CISOs that have to realize that even if they're only going to stay for 2 more years, they should be doing something for 2 years. They really should. So if you know any CISOs, tell them I said to get started. Okay. There's also this potential. Do you really want 5 years of this? I mean, you don't want this, right? I mean, you probably, Yeah, we see enough of this now. You don't want it to be that everything's essential in the clear. Like how many of you would run a web server on port 80, right? You wouldn't do that. That's what it's going to be like if we don't migrate. So I think it's time to get cracking here. All right, so how did all this begin?
All right, so there's that. There's that battle taking place. So you heard him talk about the crypto war that they had already,
Yes.
and he talked about 30 years after it was created, the next then in Y2K came along because they only had zeros and ones, and now we're fixing to go into something similar.
Q day.
Q day, Y2Q.
Right? So say no. Use Q, right? Say AI.
Did you have another video? Oh, let me play that.
Yeah, the one the school.
Whitney Webb.
School.
This one.
No, the school.
The
Jeff
school.
Palm about the school.
Oh, you want me to play that next? Okay. All right. So if you were in the chat this morning, you probably already watched this. But what we have here is a high school student that got bored in school while he was on the computer and decided to hack into his school's network system or internet of things. He's seen, the normal things, your printers and stuff like that, computers. But then he noticed another product that he didn't recognize. He looked that product up, and it was it's like a smoke detector thing. They put it in the bathroom to check for if anyone's vaping or THC or cigarettes or voice that's recording, also listening in. But there's some other things like different other sensors things that senses as well. But most importantly is the privacy side of it. And today I played a little video from how high school was back in the 70s. 1977 was one example, and we showed the high school students walking down the hallway, slamming lockers and chattering and dropping book bags. And I noticed in the hallway there were no cameras or anything like that. And then you fast forward to today's high school students, and they're having to sit and they're sitting in their classrooms with these new computers that they have in front of them now. And one just so happened, a 15-year-old, to mess around on the school's internet. And he found a few surveillance things that I believe uh, most parents need to be made aware of. I know when I was a high school, I got to go 2 years I got to see 2 years of what it was like before we transitioned into the new high school that was being built across the street. And in the old high school, there was no cameras. It was, you walk from one class to another outside of the building sometimes. You got to take a stroll down the sidewalk outside, chit chat, whatever, stuff like that. The new high school was cameras, everything is indoors. No outdoors, no none of that. It was like a new it was a really nice building, but tech the technology that was in the late 90s, early 90s that was coming into play. So we fast forward to today, and your kids are in a whole nother realm. They're what I'm seeing is it looks like they're practicing or they're using some of this technology that they sell to Motorola for security reasons, for profit, and they're getting the kids accustomed to a surveillance state before they even hit college. They're already used to cameras and being recorded and having to not you can't. How can you be a high school student when you feel like you're in a prison? You feel more like a inmate.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? So we created this whole thing based on fear, but and also it detects gunshots too, right? So they say, right? So think about
not catching it, right?
it. Just seems, yeah.
Kind of strange.
So that's what's being created in the school systems. These pups, or they look like little fire detectors or go from about $1,500 to $2,000 a piece. So these schools are spending 50, 60, $100,000 on some technology that can be easily hacked or misused or uh, by, you know, law enforcement, the feds, or even Mossad, et cetera, right? Or different entities, not just the companies like Motorola and stuff like that. But I want to play this video right here. This is a young hacker. He just graduated high school, but he got curious about the devices that he was picking up in his high school. It was being used against him. He calls it the snitch puck. All right. So we're gonna get.
Hello, DEFCON. Thanks for coming to our talk. This is Unmasking the Snitch Puck, the creepy IoT surveillance tech in the school bathroom. Just so you know, we don't think kids should vape. Probably nobody should vape, actually, but vaping among high school.
Here. Hold on before I get started. Let me mute out right here on my. There we go. This is going to be eye-opening, and I want to, if you have kids in school or you have grandkids in school, please pay attention and be made aware. I don't think this is right. I think you're gonna. A lot of people say get your kids out of school, but I say fight. Also fight for your kids. Right? Get involved, volunteer. This is bigger than just um, getting a diploma. There's something else going on here in these schools over the last few decades that I've even come into fruition. Here we go.
Schoolers is pretty bad. It's become a big problem in schools, and yeah, this talk isn't a vaping ad. But let's say you were a kid in high school and you did want to vape. What's a place you can go that has some sort of privacy? Obviously the bathroom. So you go in there and you hit the vape.
All right, y'all remember smoking in the boys' room? Smoking in the boys. Well, they don't want y'all smoking in the boys' room anymore.
And suddenly the smoke detector lights up and starts yelling, vape detected and security notified. Or to get more serious, what if a girl was talking to her friend about potentially getting an abortion in a state where that's not legal? What if the smoke detector was recording her conversation? Hey, I'm Ray. I'm a Portland-based security researcher. I've been learning InfoSec stuff on my own for about 3 years, since I was a sophomore in high school. This is actually my first time ever going to DEF CON, as you heard. So I'm pretty excited to be up here on stage. This whole thing actually started when I was 15. I used to poke around on the high school's network a lot. When I got bored, I didn't really want to do any schoolwork. The school's Wi-Fi wasn't segmented at all, so I could just discover a lot of devices on the network. So yeah, one day I was poking around on the Wi-Fi and I found this device that had a strange OUI I had never seen before. Normally I would just see HP printers and Microsoft devices, but this time it was a company called IP Video Corporation. So I Googled them. I found out they were a small startup in New York. They had less than 50 employees, not a lot. Their Crunchbase profile says they used to do a lot of video management systems, basically just camera systems, you know, those like multi-monitor camera setups you see in security offices. But their main product now is called the Halo 3C. It's basically an IoT version of a smoke detector. This thing.
As you can see, it says smart sensor is going to point that out, right? And anything that, I don't know what it is, but I think with these smart sensors, it's more like surveillance.
Yeah, they can listen to it.
As you can see, it has health index, air quality index, vape and THC, alarm, safety, keyword, like certain, like call 911, help, and gunshots.
But it has all these sensors and features like, for example, for health, it detects carbon monoxide, CO2, humidity, like just the general health things you expect to see in a device like this. It also has these safety features that detect gunshots, aggression, as well as spoken keywords like help emergency or help 911. But its main gimmick is snitching on kids doing dumb shit in the school bathroom, like smoking weed or vaping. They mentioned schools in their FAQ, so clearly it's one of the target markets. So when I first saw the audio features, I was curious about one claim, and that is, ensures privacy without audio recording. I was curious about what this meant exactly, but I did not have a way to check at the time. The website also has a testimonials page that was pretty interesting to look into as a high schooler. This principal likes how they can catch kids vaping before they even leave the bathroom. Here's one saying it's futuristic. This one talks about how they have punishments in place, but it's how it's also serving as a deterrent. Did you read it? Here's a kind of funny one. This one talks about how they caught a kid ripping off a door from a bathroom stall and used the audio logs in conjunction with their camera system to catch him. But there are competitors. Zeptiv does a lot of the same stuff, but has more emphasis on vape detection and less on safety. It also just looks like it belongs in a school bathroom or maybe like a prison. It looks like something they'd put in a cell to stop prisoners from making prison wine or something. Or other ones, like this forensic detectors device, only detect vape and don't detect anything else. But it seems like Halos are the #1 used most popular vape detectors out there. So I was wondering, how did they get there? Going back to the LinkedIn, what's that at the top? Enhance. Motorola Solutions. So yeah, they were bought up by Motorola in 2023. Motorola's been buying up a lot of these cop tech companies and integrating them into their security and safety offerings. So now I really wanted to get my hands on one, but I couldn't afford to because they were super expensive and about $1,200 each, but also because I was a broke high school student. So what about the firmware updates? I found out that I could just download it from their website. I didn't really know how firmware worked at the time, so I tried the usual bin walking it, opening it up in a reverse engineering tool, but none of those worked because it was encrypted. When I checked the entropy, it was just random bytes. I hit a wall. I couldn't get my hands on one. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, so I just kind of left it there for a while. A couple years later, one popped up on eBay for about half the price. Pretty good considering how expensive these are from the vendor. Around the same time, I found out about the Portland Hacker Foundation. It's basically just a nonprofit that gives out mini grants to hackers in the Portland area. You submit a cool project idea, and they give you money. So I got a mini grant, went back to eBay, and I bought it. Got here, and I was actually kind of nervous about opening it up, and yeah, this was my first hardware teardown project, so didn't know what to expect at the time when it came to embedded devices, but I finally opened it up and turns out it's just a Pi. Specifically a compute module 4.
So yeah, this is about where I got involved. Ray shows up to the hackerspace, has this thing, says it's an IoT vape detector. They had them in my school. It's got a Raspberry Pi in it. I'm a hack it. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. Where's the screwdriver? Hello, I'm Nix. I'm a hacker. Thank you. Wanted to do this stuff when I grew up since I was like 10 and I got my hands on a copy of The Cuckoo's Egg by Cliff Stoll. In the intervening years, I have been to school for electrical and computer engineering and put in a few years tenure doing software stuff at a large tech company. Do love hacking stuff. Got my OSCP a few years ago, just for the lulz. And I spend a lot of my free time these days down at the local hackerspace, getting into trouble and poking at whatever lands on the workbench. And yeah, this thing landed on the workbench. And gosh, did we poke at it. So you get the case open. It's got two double-sided PCBs that are connected in parallel into a kind of PCB sandwich with a through-hole pin header mezzanine connector. If you start on the underside of the bottom board, this is the part closest to the floor when it's mounted in the ceiling. This is where most of the sensors are. There is an SHT40 temperature humidity sensor on that kind of cutout thing, probably to thermally isolate it from the rest of the board, because it does get quite warm while it's running for reasons that will be clear shortly. Omron pressure sensor, not much to say about that one. There is an SCD41 CO2 sensor. Now this is actually a nice part. It's about a $15 BOM cost. It is expensive because it directly measures the CO2 concentration. Cheaper CO2 sensors like this SGP30 it also has measure volatile organic compounds, TVOCs, and then estimate CO2 from it. So if you see a sensor that does eCO2 or CO2 EQ for equivalent, that's what it's doing. Other gas sensors, this MICS is part of a line of sensors that all look like this but have different internals. This one does VOCs as well as ammonia and nitrogen dioxide. Another total VOC sensor, like the SGP30, this one also does its own like air quality estimate calculation. Middle of the board has a light level sensor. Not sure on the exact part number, but Vishay Semiconductors makes a ton that look just like this. And then a passive infrared motion detector, turns body heat into voltage so it can see when people are moving around under it. So we go to the top of the top board. This is closest to the ceiling when it's mounted in the ceiling. There's a pair of PoE connectors. This is for network and power. There's in and out because one Halo can sync enough power to power two, both itself and a friend, that it daisy chains. So you only need one run back to the switch, right? Makes install cheaper. There is a ring of RGB LEDs. These are for lighting up when it's mad about something, as well as emergency lighting, apparently. In between the two boards, there's this MEMS accelerometer. This powers the tamper detection. So if you try to take it down or throw a stapler at it, it'll get mad and light up. Also an Ethernet switch IC to power the daisy chaining thing. And then in the bottom right corner, a couple of MEMS microphones that are connected to a Waveshare audio codec. Again, the spec sheet says this is not for recording audio. Actually, we just do analysis, noise and aggression, spoken word, gunshots, etc. Back on the underside of the case, there's a speaker. This is for playing alert noises. And then the sensor that powers the headlining vape detection stuff, the SPS30 particle sensor. If you haven't seen how one of these particulate sensors works, it's actually really cool. They have a little fan and a laser, and the fan draws an air sample through that metal box. It shoots the laser into the air, and then it can estimate the particles based on how the laser scatters. So yeah, super sci-fi. And all of these sensors together give us this web dashboard that the device itself serves up. Each one of those green circles, you don't have to read the labels. I don't know if you can. But each one is a different alert type. And it'll turn red if something is wrong. There's the ones you'd expect, like vaping, tampering, motion, but also environmental stuff, like it's too cold in here, the air's too stuffy. By the way, the device can also serve a picture of this over RTSP, so you could have it in your NVR and then be able to scrub back and see what it looked like, an hour or 24 hours ago or whatever. So yeah, naturally we wanted to see how this worked, so we turned our attention back to that Raspberry Pi. So this is a diagram of the secure boot flow on the Broadcom 2711 SoC that is in the Pi CM4, Model 4, and Model 400. Once secure boot is toggled on, you cannot toggle it back off. So to kind of summarize how it works, the first code that runs when you turn it on is called boot ROM. That also has some public keys, and that's all baked into the SoC. Boot ROM loads the first stage bootloader off the SPI flash. That's called boot sys. It contains a signature from one of those keys, which it verifies before running. Boot sys loads a customer public key from the EEPROM and then checks the digest against the SoC's OTP, which has it's a one-time programmable like eFuse type thing, so you can write once and then you can't change it, but you can continue to read it. Boot sys also contains hashes of boot main, which is the second stage bootloader, so it makes sure that matches before running boot main. Boot main loads the actual OS boot image, and then that has a signature against that customer key, which again is verified against the thing baked into Flash, or baked into the SoC rather. And then the OS image can finally load and mount that looks encrypted file system, which is encrypted to the device-specific private key, also baked into the OTP. So altogether, this whole process ensures that each stage of boot that runs is verified by the one before it, and the end result is you get a file system that's encrypted at rest, and it becomes quite difficult to just plug it in and dump the contents of the eMMC. So we just plugged it in and dumped the contents of the eMMC. Yeah, this is the real world. Secure boot doesn't always happen. This is fine. So we took the CM4 off of the Halo and put it on this carrier board that basically turns it into the form factor of the Model 4. It also contains this handy switch that grounds a particular pin that tells the Pi to run in USB bootloader mode. And then the Raspberry Pi GitHub has a script that when you run it like throws a mass storage device boot gadget over to the Pi. So it just comes up on the host device as a block device, meaning you can just DD it into a file and then go spelunking all you want offline. So yeah, what's in that software? The smoke detector runs Linux, specifically Raspbian 10, which is currently old stable, like a little old, but fine, whatever. I cannot believe I'm saying this next part, but the smoke detector runs Node.js. Yeah, the code running all of this is JavaScript with an Express web server to do the web stuff. It's not quite all JavaScript. There's also like a bunch of Python and Bash on there that it shells out to, and it builds command lines out of user supplied parameters and then fires those in subshells. This is probably fine. And then there's a bunch of drivers. These are either ELF binaries or sometimes Python bytecode. These basically read the sensor data over I2C and then send it to that main server process over a JSON WebSocket thing, or TCP socket rather. It's not web. Not important to read any of the names up here. The point is there's a ton of integrations as well. It supports all these different APIs for different video and camera systems and security stuff. A lot of vendors we recognize in that list. Yeah, and then we went back looking for those encrypted updates that Ray was trying to look at before. We found a script to unpack them, actually a super user-friendly script, which was nice for us. But we were really just interested to see how the encryption works. And then we found this. So the file format of those encrypted updates is a header that has the key in it, and then the IV, and then the encrypted contents. So we're giving the customers a lockbox where the key is taped to the bottom of it, and then most people don't know to look there, so this kind of works, I guess. The contents turn out to be a tar GZ that gets splatted onto the file system when it unpacks. But aside from that, there's no signing, no other validity checks. Once we know that the key is literally in the fucking file, there is nothing to stop us from making our own. So that's shells, right? We can overwrite the firmware with whatever we want. But it gets even sillier, kinda. This is the code behind the API endpoint for handling the firmware uploads. It grabs the file, dumps it onto the disk in a temp location, and then fires this extract UPK shell script at the end. That shell script looks like this. Our favorite part is this. If it unpacks it and it finds a file called extra, it fucking runs it. This is probably for cleanup tasks or migrations or whatever, but what if our migration is this? So yeah, standard reverse shell payload, and I will give you 3 guesses which user it's running it as. So yeah, this was the documenting the first time we got a root shell on it. the deranged Comic Sans terminal font is one of our friends who helped us with this a little bit. So yeah, we have this Privesk thing, right? So if you can log into the website as admin, you can turn that into a root shell. But we're really interested in like the other part too, right? Like how can we get from having nothing to being admin on the dashboard? So how do we do that? We go and peek at the auth code. It's all just kind of weird and janky. Actually, all the code is kind of weird and janky. We've been joking this feels like they took like a grizzled 80s Unix C hacker and sat him down and said like, okay, your new job is writing JavaScript, go. There's some weird like nonce math stuff that seems like it might leave the device vulnerable to replay attacks. We didn't POC that because it's all TLS in the latest, like it's a self-signed cert, sure, but it's all TLS, so it's encrypted on the wire, so that kind of makes it harder. Then we thought, what if we could brute force the login? Usually web logins like this have some kind of like rate limiting brute force protection. So it'll keep track of how many times you've guessed, and then if you guess too many times too fast, it'll back you off. The Halo did implement rate limiting. And it works like this. So we try to log in, it initializes a counter for the auth attempts, the password's bad, so it increments the counter, and then it stores the counter in a cookie. So the flow is like, I guess a bad password, the Halo says 401 unauthorized, that's wrong. Also, you have guessed wrong once. Please remind me of that next time you guess. And so we can just not use the cookie next time, right? Like if we're writing a script to do this, it's actually more work to comply with the rate limiting by handing it the cookie. So yeah, seems like we can maybe brute force it over the network. It is pretty slow actually, so it's like a Raspberry Pi, so it can only respond at about 3,000 guesses a minute. This means it'd take like 5 hours to do a word list of 1,000,000, but high schoolers have a lot of time, right? It's also extremely loud. If there's network security stuff watching, it'll definitely notice. But we suspect there might not always be network security stuff. We did find like 20 of these on Shodan on the open internet, like with their own public IPv4s, like very cool, very normal. There's also a password policy to the credit of the vendor. There's got to be a capital, a lower, a number, and a special. It has to be 8 characters. So like all this in mind, you do have to get a little bit lucky, but it still totally works. We tested it. You can brute force, works great. So with 10 lines of bash and a little luck and one 400 byte updatey boy, we've got like an unauthenticated over the network full chain device takeover thing. Cool. We have some video demos. You want to see the demos? I'm gonna let Ray introduce those.
Yeah, before we get into that, there's some things we forgot to mention. It's not just in schools. They're putting these in retail stores. It's in banks. It's in hotels, like Airbnbs. It's in hospital rooms. It's in assisted living facilities, like care homes. And it's in public housing projects and Section 8 apartments. Here's one case study from the vendor talking about how it was used in Section 8 housing in New York. They started implementing them in residential units as part of enforcing a no smoking policy and are planning to install more. In this case study, they're basically bragging about how they use the Halo to catch poor people. The director of the housing authority says it's like having an expert witness on the stand in a courtroom. So with that context in mind, let's see the video. That's it. Yeah, it's not playing.
No video? Ah, yeah. Other screen, I see. Hey, all right.
Yes, food, very excuse, gate, open. Did you get that? No. Insect, unaware, awesome, another, obscure, remain, genius, food, very, excuse, gate, open. No. Which one do I get back to?
Left one.
All right. Where's my cursor?
Right there.
All right.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So after that, we disclosed all of this to the vendor. We sent them an email to their vulnerability disclosure program on July 10th. We told them about the findings. We also mentioned in the email that we were going to present this in a conference about a month. We received an automatic response about a day later. They assigned us a ticket number, but didn't say much, really. And then about a week later, they got back to us with an actual human response, saying they acknowledge the vulnerabilities and will try to patch it before DEF CON. And they actually did, on Monday. We haven't had a lot of time to look at it yet, but trust me, we are gonna look at it. Before that, we did actually see they patched stuff. In the original firmware we pulled off the Halo, this function for setting the time zone and stuff was not sanitizing user input at all. It would just take parameters and insert them into shell commands. After we updated the Halo to the latest version, we found they had updated it with a new function called cleanarg. And that basically just goes through the string and escapes dangerous characters. To recap, these are the things we have found. You could just brute force a login on the web interface. You might be able to do a replay attack, but we didn't develop a POC for this. There's a lack of firmware signing, which lets us make our own firmware and take over the device. And a firmware update can just turn it into a listening device. So yeah, this is the list of issues we have found. And these are the ones they can fix with a patch.
Anybody remember this thing? A few years ago, Google had this cloud-enabled home alarm system called Nest Secure. This little like control unit keypad thing is called Nest Guard. And one day they make this blog post. It's like, hey everybody, Google Assistant is coming to Nest Secure. So great news, you're gonna be able to say, hey Google at it and ask it what the weather is or whatever. And everybody in unison is like, yo, what the fuck? You didn't tell us you put a microphone in this thing? Because they hadn't, like they omitted that from the spec sheet. And then they tweeted like, oh yeah, there's a mic in that, but we haven't even used it yet. And also you can turn it off in the app that we also control. And then a few years later, they discontinued the cloud service and bricked everyone's thing, because that's kind of what Google does, but that's for another talk. The point is people don't like when you can turn a device into an audio bug with a server-side toggle. And it seems like the company that makes the Halo understands this as well, because again, all their marketing stuff says ensures privacy without audio recording. I imagine this would have been workshopped heavily from what the engineers might have written, which would have been like, has microphones in it, but we're not saving the audio or shipping it off anywhere. Not in this firmware. Trust me, bro. So when you're trying to evaluate some new gadget or system, I think there are two questions that are important to ask. And the first one's really easy. It's what does the technology do? How does it work? What's inside it? What are the capabilities? But just as important as what it does is who does it do it for? Whose interests does this technology serve? want to show you something else we found in the firmware. So when the thing starts up, in its startup routine, which is called start main B for some reason, it sets up a call to this reverse proxy thing. 10 seconds later, that fires and the device opens up a TLS encrypted WebSocket to the company, which owns this iotmanager.com domain. We didn't poke at any of their cloud stuff, by the way. That's crimes. Those are illegal. But the message handler for this socket says, like, anytime something comes back over this socket, put it into this for Halo array and then call send to Halo. Well, what does that do? So we go looking for that. Turns out that function opens another socket to the local web API, and it takes the first thing out of 4Halo and shoves it into the web API. Then it calls itself recursively until that array is empty. The web API then, in its authorized middleware, people who've written Express will recognize this. It looks at those requests and sees that if they came in from inside the building, like if the remote address is localhost, it sets the username to this cloud server placeholder, and then sets isAdmin to true. So like what this enables, in addition to the paid cloud subscription service, because of course it has that, is that the company that made the Halo can, at any time, call any of the endpoints on the device's local web API as admin. So look, to be clear, we are not saying this thing is listening to you. It probably isn't. We saw no evidence on the one we got our hands on that they are doing anything dodgy, that they're saving it or shipping it off. The problem though is that like this is microphones connected to a Raspberry Pi that's on the network, and someone else has root on it. So like at any time, it could just decide to start listening to you, and you would not know the difference looking at it. So we thought it'd be fun to like try to enumerate who might be listening to you through your Halo. It could be script kiddies who saw this talk. It could be the IT admin who has access to that dashboard. It could be system integrators, the installers who have access to the dashboard. Motorola themselves, who have root via that cloud reverse proxy backdoor thing. Local cops, who compel any of the above to act on their behalf. Same deal with feds, like think DHS, think ICE. And, you know, statistically speaking, probably, the possibilities with this device are endless. And like, you're probably asking, do they have to do it this way? Do they have to engineer it in a way that opens it up to these risks? And like, no, totally not. This is a peripheral made by a boutique shop in India called PCB Artists. It is an I2C decibel meter. It has a microphone just like the Halo and its own STM32. And all day long, that STM32 reads the microphone, calculates the decibel level, and sends just the number back to the host machine over I2C. So this means that you get the data that you wanted, but if somebody pops your web server, they can't trivially turn the whole thing into an audio bug. And they could have done the same thing with the silly wake word feature, separate coprocessor, like get it away from the main computer. The part costs about $30, but you could do this way cheaper at scale. Or you could do what the Zeptive thing does, that Prison Wine one from before. They have a noise add-on that is an add-on. It's optional, you don't have to have it, but you can buy this if you want to enable microphones in your deranged setup. But you know, even if you get rid of all the microphone stuff completely, and this might be a slightly hotter take, I think this thing still sucks. Because again, like, who is it working for, right? Who benefits from this device existing in our society? I want to rant for a little bit about the death of privacy. It never happens all at once, right? Like, it's a gradual thing. It erodes over time. Little nibbles of it get taken around the edges. Y'all know about usage-based car insurance? So like way back when, this was for over-the-road truck drivers, or actually for the trucking companies. They had like dongles in the trucks that would report back if the truck driver was obeying the speed limit and like not driving too many hours without taking their legally mandated rest breaks. And more recently, some car insurance companies have started offering this program where you can put an app on your phone that will keep an eye on your driving and like nominally give you discounts, but actually just narc on you to the insurance company if you go too fast or brake too hard or drive too many miles, so they can raise your insurance. And then they realized that nobody was signing up for these because that's creepy and weird. So they just started buying your driving data directly from OnStar via LexisNexis and raising your insurance without even getting you involved. What about the Amazon drivers? They aren't really Amazon drivers. Those drivers work for these other companies called delivery service partners, or DSPs, which are third parties that Amazon contracts to provide delivery services to Amazon, which gives Amazon access to a labor force that is fragmented enough that they probably won't unionize. Anyway, those fucking vans have cameras in them pointed at the drivers, and they caught some bad press a couple of years ago because the drivers were like scratching their face or sipping their coffee or opening their mouth to sing along with the radio, and the cameras were reporting them to their bosses so they could get penalized for driving while distracted. If your car at home has any kind of like advanced driver assistance or smart cruise control, like it might have a cabin facing camera in it, right? Like all I'm saying, but back to the halo. So this thing starts out in schools, hospitals, whatever, relatively benign. And then some ghoul is like, what if we could just put it into poor people's houses? And do we think at that point the company's going to be like, okay, we have addressed a modest proportion of our total addressable market. Like we've done enough shareholder value. Let's pack it up. No, right? Of course not. Blood for the blood god. Number must go up. So this thing is coming for you in your bougie downtown apartment. Or like what if the home insurance company demands you put one in your house, or else they drop your insurance because you're a fire risk? And, you know, when I start extrapolating along these lines, even to a relatively privacy conscious audience, I'm sure I start to sound like a frothing conspiracy theorist or a swivel-eyed loon. But to borrow the title of this Cory Doctorow piece a while ago, the swivel-eyed loons have a point. Because over and over again, the rest of us say, surely they wouldn't sink any lower, and then they do. The company that makes the Halo says in their marketing stuff that because it doesn't record video or audio, supposedly, it can, and I quote, be safely used in private areas like restrooms. In other words, not only are they marketing a promise to put every square inch under some kind of surveillance, but they're actually saying nothing is sacred as a selling point for their thing. And like, honestly, what happened to the magic of technology making the world a better place thing? Why does it seem like anytime we develop some new capability as a species, that in the best case, it gets used to track and profile our thoughts and behaviors, to put more accurate targeted ads in our faces, or capture more of our attention? And in the worst case, it gets used to literally subjugate and abuse poor people, immigrants, school children. And there's a sick hypocrisy underlying all of it, because do we really think the depraved creeps who cooked this thing up and like said put them in poor people's houses would be thrilled to have them on the ceilings of their living rooms? I think they wouldn't. I'd guess they wouldn't, but I'd also guess it doesn't keep them up at night, because they know as they drift off to sleep atop their fucking Scrooge McDuck piles of Motorola acquisition money, that they're in an economic position where nobody's going to compel them to bug their houses. Like nobody's going to come knocking on the CEO's front door to investigate an anomaly from the particulate sensor mounted above his fucking living room sofa. It's enough to make anyone want to walk away from all this and, you know, build a tiny cabin in the woods in Montana. But if this stuff pisses you off too, I want you to stick around for this last bit. What can you, the hackers, do about any of this? Well, you can do what Ray did. You could buy some weird cop tech on eBay and mess with it and then tell people about it. You might have noticed we didn't have to discover any V8 runtime ODays to pop this thing. Like, it wasn't that hard. You could probably do it too. You should give it a shot. Or go to your school board and ask if they're putting these things in your local schools. And if they are, maybe also ask if the tens of thousands of dollars they've blown making their schools more like prisons might have been better spent on like a music teacher or something. Campaign for strong privacy legislation, because this is not a problem the free market is interested in solving, because neither the people who sell this thing nor the ones who buy it are the ones who eventually have to suffer with the surveillance. Up in Oregon, we are really lucky to have Senator Ron Wyden. He's been on the right side on just about every digital privacy and surveillance debate, and he knows what he's talking about in part because he listens to his hacker constituents. If your representative does not know anything about any of this, consider reaching out. Ask what it might take to change that. If you don't have time for any of this stuff, but you do have money, consider giving some money to the Electronic Frontier Foundation. The EFF has been around since literally before I was born, fighting the good fight, and they're here at DEF CON in the vendor hall. So swing by their booth, give them some cash, get some stickers, give a little more, get one of the hoodies. The design is freaking sick this year. And the contributions go to making the world better for everyone. Stay aware, stay informed. Look, I know it's a shitty time to be reading the news right now. I'm not advocating for doom scrolling. Pace yourself, but if you can stomach it, I believe it is your duty to read and understand the adversaries, because knowing what is happening now and what's coming next is the only way to keep yourself, your friends, and your communities safe. From beginning to end, this talk has been a wild ride. Ray and I did not do it alone, so a huge and heartfelt thanks to everybody up on screen right now for helping us out along the way. Do not have time to read everyone individually, but I do want to call special attention again to the EFF and their Coders' Rights team for the generous legal advice and counsel, as well as to Joseph Cox at 404 Media and Andy Greenberg at Wired for listening to our story and finding it compelling enough to share with the rest of the world. I don't know if you guys saw, but like we were in Wired this morning. That was pretty cool. On an even more personal note, Ray is a freshly minted high school graduate who already has his first main stage DEF CON talk under his belt. This kid is going places, he is passionate, he is curious, and he is looking for opportunities for scholarships, internships, and interlevel employment, particularly in hardware hacking and security research. If you want to be a part of his story, reach out to him directly via Mastodon DM. He is bujo@defcon.social. I am also looking for opportunities. I've just been caught in the latest round of corpo layoff roulette. My last day at my current employer is a week from today, and I am so excited and thrilled for what might happen next. So if you'd like to hire me on a consulting or full-time basis to hack stuff that sucks, build stuff that doesn't, or do cool research and write talks like this about it, you are more than welcome to reach out to me via Blue Sky DM. I am nixwtf.bsky.social. And finally, if you're looking for something to do this evening, and you'd like to hang out with me, Ray, a bunch of the Portland, Oregon hacker crew, and dozens of our closest friends from around the internet, you are humbly invited to join us at the 503 party. It's hosted by the Portland folks. It's in the Flamingo this year, and it's going to be a good time. Doors open at 8. We will hack the planet all night long, and you can get more details on venue by pointing your web browser at 503.party.
All right, there you go. So, high school students get bored in school, hop off into the server at the high school, see what's on it, get a little curious, and they notice some items on there. They do a little research and find out that these things have the ability to be used as a microphone if somebody wanted to, and you wouldn't even know the difference.
That's right. There's we talked about it this morning. Go back and watch this morning's chat. It was uploaded. It goes on to some other DEFCON things about the Bitcoin being used for not good things on the dark web, and how they hacked into that and they could trace all that. It's pretty crazy. There's a lot of crazy people out there.
So this is what your child's high schools have become. Right, and I say let these kids be kids. Get that shit out of them schools. Right?
Yes.
Build the schools a little different than a prison. Right? If you want to compete with China, then you need to take a look at where their students are by the time they reach junior high, or however they function. They focus on, bigger things than we do. It seems to be with their curriculum.
The kids in the era, it was kind of good they were growing up with electronics, because a lot of them were very good on computers. Very good. Like when was it? Last year, Sheepdog played a video where they had these kids hack into a secured site, and they did it within seconds. Right? It was crazy. And they were just kids.
So this is 1977 high school students showing up to school. I don't even think they had a seatbelt law then.
Right? No, they didn't.
Right. Just like.
Right? You could carry your rifle on the back, in the back of the truck. As long as it was on the rack, right?
No backup camera, nothing.
Right.
No OnStar. No cameras in this lighting. You get to walk up and down the hallways like a normal high school student would. Right? You see these? You think they were thinking hacking stuff at this time? No.
No.
But look at the fast forward and you look at the high school students today, and you see what they had to deal with. Right? Not knowing where they came, or maybe they assume that it's always been like that when you went to school. Right? And the parents maybe assume that their children are having the same experience that they had when they were in high school, but they're not.
Right.
So I showed this going to high school in 1977. Keep in mind, he did not have a camera phone. I would want you also to go look up at the camcorder that he had to carry with him in here just to film this in 1977.
That's huge. Huge
Right.
things.
So this was the first camera phone right here in 1977 in school. There you go. Which one? Oh, I gotta show. Mickey Grace with the picture of Gracie. There, where's it at? There you go. Oh, Gracie. She's posing right there.
Buddy.
What's up, everybody?
Look. She's ready.
She's got her tactical gear.
Her made in China tactical gear.
Made in China.
She's so cute. Boy, she had a lot to say tonight.
Yeah, she does.
Right. Yeah, she's pretty vocal.
Oh, yeah, she is.
Don't forget, guys, also while I got Grace up here, check out sheepdogspets.com. You have the Corliss Creek coffee, you have the Kings Canyon blend coffee, and the Corliss Creek cookies. Are these for dogs or for humans too, right?
That's for humans.
Oh, big
The
dogs?
cookies, they have the cookies and the coffee.
I want the ones for the dogs.
Oh, they have. You can probably give it to the dog too. I don't know.
Oh, here's the.
I want to try the cookies though. I mean, the coffee's awesome.
So next on the list, cookies.
Yep.
There we go. So the cookies are a daily dietary supplement for the whole family made with the Coryllius mescaler mushroom to help support the body's immune system. These cookies are all natural and free of hydrogenated oils, trans fats, high fructose corn syrup, palm oil, preservatives, and contain no artificial ingredients.
It's all natural.
I never thought I would see that they would be from cookies.
Yeah, I'm going to try the cookies. Definitely going to try those.
All right. What is this? JD Vance thing? Opera? This?
I don't know, that's just so what you're seeing on TV, no matter how much you think.
I will
like
be a
these
vice
guys.
president who never forgets where he came from.
And we won't either.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump.
My current plan is to vote either third party or, as I joke to my wife, I might write in my dog. What Trump is just another opioid. I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia.
I agree with you on Trump. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
I think that he's leading people in a very dark direction, and that's ultimately what worries me the most about Trump.
Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person.
I officially accept your nomination to be Vice President of the United States of America.
Check, check. Y'all got that? So as much as you want to like them, you have to remember that these people are actors, right? They're just pretending when they read their script from the teleprompters, right? So don't get sucked into the soap opera.
Right. It's the shit show for a reason, right? It's a distraction. That's all it is. So you don't work on yourself. You don't prepare for things to come, right? You're focusing on this show, which is an illusion. It's a great illusion, right?
Also, I want to show real quick some of the things that took place on 11/1. In Egypt. Oh, my computer's acting a little funny here.
Got a hacker.
See how it's skipping around. Goody guy. There we go.
So we need some hackers to hack the hackers.
And I want to show some of the symbolism real quick. It should be this one. Right here. So the historic ceremony, Grand Egyptian Museum, inaugurated in Giza. President Sisi leads the ceremony. I played some of this morning. I'm going to show some of that real quick.
Actually, we're supposed to pay for other stuff. And then the end it because
Looks like she's standing in front of the moon.
رمز أذن بنفس ترتيب الأهرامات. المصري القديم رسم صورة السماء لأنه آمن إن الكون ميزان بكفتين، ليل ونهار، موت وحياة. إيزيس وأوزوريس أجمل وأعظم قصة حب في الوجود. المصري القديم اكتشف ولاحظ نجوم أوريون، رمز أوزوريس جنبها بتدور نجمة سايروس، رمز الحبيبة إيزيس. وإيزيس لما بتقابل أوزوريس في الفضاء بتحصل رقصة حب، والنيل بيفيض على أرضنا بنفس الروح اللي حاورت النجوم وبنفس الإيد اللي خلقت الحضارة. بنينا المتحف المصري الكبير، امتداد لحسابات المصري القديم على خط واحد مع خوف وخفرع ومنقرع، سطحه يعكس نور الشمس وضيق.
That's serious. Orion spelled.
مصرية أنا وأفتخر بانتمائي لأقدم شعب وأول حضارة وأول جيش نظامي على وجه الأرض وأول دولة في العالم لها تاريخ مكتوب. ومحظوظ اللي اتولد في بلد الفن فيها متأصل ومنحوت على الجدران.
So I just wanted to show some of this symbolism. If you look at the stage from an aerial position, I'm trying to find that shot right now. Let me go. Here it is. You can see where it looks.
Egypt. Here,
right
the
here.
first.
See the Freemasonic, the square and compass. You see the pyramid. See it coming down right here, both sides. Then you see the going up right here. Also, on the stage, you see
Here, the harp first sang, perfume filled the air, coal adorned the eyes. Physicians listened to the pulse.
It is water, food, harvest, and catch. Our blessing. Our ancestors stood in the hall of judgment and I have not polluted the waters of the Nile. I have not obstructed its flow. The Nile has always been sacred. It is life itself.
right.
52 treasures. All of
So this is opening up. It's called the GEM.
To light, to peace.
So, and this was the ceremony they just had, November 1st. Right. So I just wanted to point that out. And the symbolism all in this video and on the stage. That is it. So we want to also bring the Willy Wonka thing before we close out here. Is there anything else you want to put out about this mystery club or anything before we close out?
Yep.
Sorry. Go to where's your So remember the ending of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? That's the test, right?
Yes, that's it.
Like this video that we brought earlier.
What's
Just
up,
a
everybody?
reminder.
So, I made a video earlier.
Right, so we were talking about this video. So I just thought about the traps, right? And staying in the middle. You're gonna have the banker on one side and the
Preacher on the
preacher on the other. Just stay in the middle.
stay in the middle.
So it's this one. So this is for educational purposes only. We do not own the rights to this material.
Mr. Wonka? I am extraordinarily busy, sir. I just wanted to ask about the chocolate. The lifetime supply of chocolate for Charlie. When does he get it? He doesn't. Why not? Because he broke the rules. What rules? We didn't see any rules, did we, Charlie? Wrong, sir.
Wrong. Under Section 37B of the contract signed by him, it states quite clearly that all offers shall become null and void if, and you can read it for yourself in this photostatic copy, I, the undersigned, shall forfeit all rights, privileges, and licenses herein and herein contained, etc., etc. Fax mentis incendium gloria culpum, etc., etc. Memo bis punitor delicatum. It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
You're a crook. You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How can you do a thing like this? Build up a little boy's hopes and then smash all his dreams to pieces. You're an inhuman monster!
I said good day!
Come on, Charlie. Let's get out of here. I'll get even with him if it's the last thing I ever do. Slugworth wants a gobstopper. He'll get one.
Mr. Wonka?
So shines a good deed in a weary world.
Charlie.
My boy.
You won! You did it! You did it! I knew you would! I just knew you would! Oh, Charlie. Forgive me for putting you through this. Please, forgive me. Come in, Mr. Wilkinson. Charlie, meet Mr. Wilkinson.
Pleasure.
Slugworth.
No, that's not Slugworth. He works for me.
For you?
I had to test you, Charlie, and you passed the test. You won!
You did it, Mr. Wonka. Congratulations.
Get up, take a look.
Grandpa, our town looks so pretty from up here.
Yeah, look over here, Charlie. I think I see our house.
Wow.
It really looks beautiful.
There's my school, Grandpa.
How did you like the chocolate factory, Charlie?
I think it's the most wonderful place in the whole world.
I'm very pleased to hear you say that, because I'm giving it to you. That's all right, isn't it?
You're giving Charlie the...
I can't go on forever, and I don't really want to try. So who can I trust to run the factory when I leave and take care of the Oompa Loompas for me? Not a grown-up. A grown-up would want to do everything his own way, not mine. That's why I decided a long time ago that I had to find a child. A very honest, loving child to whom I can tell all my most precious candy-making secrets.
And that's why you sent out the golden tickets.
That's right. So the factory's yours, Charlie. You can move in immediately.
And me?
Absolutely.
What happens to the
The
rest?
whole family. I want you to bring them all. But Charlie, don't forget what happened to the man who suddenly got everything he always wanted.
What happened?
He lived happily ever after.
And then she's gone. That's it.
You left everyone standing.
So
That's all good.
that's it. That's all. Now
Cute.
we're all over the 2-hour mark. Lord, thank you for being here with us tonight, or whenever you're watching us. We would greatly appreciate it. Please click like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, check out the descriptions for the content that we shared, the video description below, as well as the video description, the videos that we uploaded to Rumble. What's up?
That's it.
Good night, Hunter. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Oh. Good night. Sleep tight.
We love y'all. Have a great evening, and we'll see you in the morning. Coffee with the dogs.
Coffee with the dogs.
Dogs.
Who let the dogs out?
It's kind of like how it is in Illinois.
Wake up to the rhythm of the eyes closed. Bare feet on the soil, let the good vibes flow. Birds sing true, trees sway slow. Mama Earth's got a beat that heals your soul. We're dancing in the garden, laughing in the breeze. Every breath's a blessing, every moment's free. From mountain tops to ocean deep, we rise with the love we sow. We reach. Shine on Mama Earth, you're the rhythm of life. Shine on Mama Earth, you're the rhythm of life. Feel the bass in your bones, let your spirit ignite. Feel the bass in your bones, let your spirit ignite. Feel the bass in your bones, let your spirit ignite. Feel the bass in your bones, let your spirit ignite. Drum beat in the jungle, moonlight in the stream, with dreamers and healers living the dream. Roots run deep, stars align, we're vibing with the cosmos, feeling divine. No fear, no shame, just joy and motion. We're waves of truth and